Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back, y'all. My name is Danielle, and this is my spiritual journey. Okay, y'all, so today we're going to do a tarot reading. Ta-da! I am pulling the cards out now. I am going to do a reading. It is still very close to the new year, and I just want to kind of walk you through how I do my readings and how it is different and it varies between the different readers and everything. So when I do my readings, there are some people who are clairaudient, clairsentient, like clairvoyant, everything that you can think of when it comes to getting our messages. That is also a part of how we do our readings, whether we are doing mediumship readings, psychic readings, tarot readings, or just reading a room. Okay. And so for me, when it comes to tarot, my very first one is emotion. And so I literally have to get like the emotion. Like I'm going to see cards and I flip one card over slowly, one at a time. I get the emotion. I interpret the emotion as best as possible. And then I share that message based on that emotion, if that makes sense. So I'm going to walk you through today. And yeah, I'm multitasking. And we're going to do what do we need to know for this weekend, right? What do we need to know about this upcoming weekend? Yeah, that's what we'll do. What do we need to know about this upcoming weekend? And I am shuffling my cards just off camera. What do we need to know about this upcoming weekend? I also do not know how many cards I'm going to pull. I do not know which cards I'm going to pull. None of those things. I just leave it to the feeling, right? Let me do one more. I don't know if y'all can hear this off camera, but yeah. I am now pulling the cards. I pull my cards completely different than other people do. Some people will say, tell me how many cards. Some people will say, um, like they may shuffle their cards and whatever cards pop out, that's how they do their reading. It is just up to the individual and how they do their practice. I am now turning the cards over one at a time and taking that emotion that I'm getting, that initial emotion, and feeling into that emotion and doing the interpretation using the words that I know to use and then putting it that way. And then sometimes the words that I may have may be a word that you may not resonate with. And again, one of the things that I like to say is like hate. Back when I was in the church, someone were to say hate, that is a very strong emotion that we were taught not to do. Like you don't hate anyone. You cannot like them. You can strongly dislike them, but you don't hate. And so let's say that I am doing an interpretation right now, and let's say that the feeling hate comes up, which it hasn't, but let's say that the feeling hate comes up, then I'm going to go back through and kind of feel into it. And that may not be a word that someone else resonates with. So then maybe I have to use a completely different word to explain this feeling, this emotion. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's move on, y'all. I'm still pulling the cards over. It seems like it is going to be an interesting weekend for you guys. Oh, okay. This is fun. Okay, so this is an overall very positive thing for this coming weekend. So, what I'm getting is that you really do have to kind of go into this weekend, like no matter what is going to happen, like see it from a different perspective, right? So you may see like, okay, well, this is just another normal weekend, but it's really not. This is an opportunity for you to see it with a different shift, like right, with a different mindset, a different perspective. Excuse me, just see it from new eyes, right? But then when I move on to the next card, it's see it with spiritual eyes. Like, so like if you see things like you will see something and it's going to happen. But you know how someone can say something to you and it can mean one thing, but then they can say it and it means something completely different in a spiritual context? That's going to be this right here, right? So, like if you're talking to someone, it means one thing. Like if I'm like, okay, well, you're going to talk with some people and whatever the case is. But then when I'm like, okay, you're going to talk to some people, this is now you're going to be communicating with some people that you don't see, right? So it's just that kind of thing. So you're going to have an experience. You have experiences, you're going to have an experience. You need to look at it from a different perspective. And when I say a different perspective, you need to look at it from a spiritual perspective. And then also, you need to come from a place of strength, knowing, peace, right? Almost like you're grounded, not like, oh my goodness, what is this? What's going on? And all those things. Like, don't do that. Like, come from a place of knowing that you have power, right? So, when you are, and again, I'm layering it so that you get the message, right? So when you have this perspective, this completely different perspective, you walk into it knowing that you're going to have a completely different perspective, right? Let's give an example. You walking in and you hanging out with with your normal people, right? But go into it from seeing it as a different experience, right? And you can, example, you can look at it as, okay, well, I'm sitting here and I'm talking to these people, I always talk to them. But now that I'm going to see it from a spiritual perspective, you may come in and be like, oh, okay, I've been talking to these people this whole time and I'm not even really aligned with them. Like, I am not only wasting my time, but my time and my energy. Like, why am I doing this? Because I'm coming in from a place of power, right? I'm coming in from a place of peace. I'm coming in from a place of being grounded, and I'm coming in looking at it spiritually, right? Not just in my normal human everyday experience. So, again, now we're going to take the next card and we're going to layer on top of that. So, we have our different experience. I'm sorry, our different perspective. We also have that we're going to look at it from a spiritual point of view. We're also going to be grounded. We're going to know that we have power. We're not going to come in where it's just like, oh my goodness, I don't know what this means. No, we're going to come in. We're just going to be peaceful and we're going to be like, I know this information. Let me just be easy and interpret it, right? You can interpret it however you interpret it. That can be clear audience, that can be hearing, that can be sensing, that can be just a knowing. You don't even have to have a title. Just know that you're going to come in from it from a spiritual point of view, right? And then you're going to have to kind of like balance the things out. So it's going to be almost like your spiritual versus your physical, right? We have our physical down pat, but now try to say, okay, how do I see this situation, my weekend experience? How am I going to balance that out, spiritual versus physical? And again, let's go back to this example of you hanging around with people whose energy isn't aligned with you. So it's how do I balance this out? Okay, well, now I need to start putting up some boundaries. Now I need to say, okay, instead of me just like ghosting y'all or whatever the case is, let me take a different approach and let me say, okay, is there any way that I can see and use them spiritually? Like, well, they can be, on my team spiritually. Let me try to see if I can have a conversation. Do y'all even feel that way? Do y'all not feel that way? Am I still the one that's sticking out kind of crazy? Can I shift this interaction so that when we meet in the future, it is a meeting where we are growing spiritually? See those things, right? We're going to try to balance our spiritual and our physical. If we cannot balance those things out, it's okay to let it go, right? And that's the next card. That's actually the last card. It's okay to let it go because there's plenty of opportunities for you to get what it is that you're looking for that aligns with you. So, guys, let's put this all together. And again, this is me doing a reading based off of emotion. So essentially, what our weekend is looking like is there is a situationship for this entire weekend that's coming up where we can look at it with fresh eyes. The fresh eyes are going to be spiritual eyes. And when we look at things from a spiritual perspective, we will see we're also coming from a grounded space. A lot of times when people are like, okay, take something from a spiritual perspective or take something from, this new perspective, then it's like, oh my goodness, new, different, change. Am I good? Do I need help? I need some outside reaffirmation, some confirmation, some, okay, you on the right track type thing. Nope. You need to know with confidence that you got this, right? Whatever it is that you're feeling, you got this. Don't question anybody else. It came to you for a reason. It can be your gut that's telling you something. It can just be an immediate feeling that's telling. Just know, right? You don't have to have a title for it. You don't have to go to your best friend or your cousin, whatever, to just be like, hey, I'm feeling this way. What do you think? Don't do that, right? Because you're giving away your confidence. You're giving away your peace. You're putting it on somebody else, right? So again, we're coming into this weekend. We're gonna be looking at the weekend and be like, okay, yeah. So I'm looking at it with fresh eyes, fresh spiritual perspective. And, I'm coming in knowing that whatever I get is true, right? And then I'm also going to look at balancing the things out. Like, okay, this is being me balancing out from a spiritual perspective versus the physical perspective. And right now, everything that I'm doing is a reflection of me, right? It's a mirror of me. And so if I'm not feeling aligned in this physically, then how is it helping me spiritually? And how do I make this so that it can align? And if it cannot align, if I can't get it to align, then maybe I just need to let it go. Because there's plenty of other opportunities and resources and whatever, friends to be made, all the things, right? If I'm sitting here holding on to something that doesn't serve me, something that isn't aligned with me, then my hands are already full and I don't have the capacity to take on that which is better for me, right? I hope that makes sense. So that is the reading for um, this upcoming weekend, this first weekend in January 2025. It did take a little bit longer because again, this is me telling you how I like do the cards, turn the cards over, feel into the emotion, and go from there. A step further, just something else that I do is like if I am called to it, every now and then I may be called to a color that is pointing out. If I'm pulled to a color that is sticking out for me, which it didn't this time around, but if I'm pulled to a color, I usually align that with one of the chakras. And that is like, okay, this person really needs to work on expressing themselves, feeling grounded or, whatever the case is, then that is going to stick out. I can also do readings where maybe the emotions come into play, but then a number may pop out. So that's when I have to go into my numerology and be like, okay, so I'm getting a lot of ones. So you're going to be independent. You're going to have to be like the pioneer of this thing. You may feel like you are alone in this, like you the one paving the way. Like it just depends on what is coming to me when I am flipping over the card. So every now and then it's going to be emotion, chakras. Every now and then it's emotion, chakras, and numerology. Other times it is definitely going to pull into like the elements. So it is a complete different thing every single time. This time around, it was straight emotions, right? Straight emotions. And even when I go to my examples, you notice there's a pause. I have to wait for my intuition to kind of lead me to what kind of example that I'm going to give. So it's all a whole thing about interpretation and communicating when I do my tarot readings. And it is also a thing about me not rushing, not trying to be like, okay, let me get this reading done in 5 minutes. I did how many cards? One, two, three, four, five. I did 5 cards. Let me do 5 minutes. I did 5 cards. Now I'm taking 15 minutes. It's not that kind of thing. It is me feeling into the emotions. If I had a querent in front of me, or just me and one other person or me and two other people, then I could definitely go into the emotions, like ask the emotions questions like, why are you feeling this way, and who is this about, what is this about, all those things that would go into that one card reading. But I just wanted to walk you through an easy card reading about what the weekend is going to look like and all the things. And it really is it's colorful. And so that does also give me the overall feeling of it's going to be a great weekend, right? It's going to be a great weekend. You just have to remember your power. You have to remember your peace, and you have to remember that there's abundance, right? And so those key things right there, your power, your peace, and abundance, that lets you know if something isn't serving you, if something isn't aligned with you, be okay. Like know that you have abundance, know that you have power, and be confident. Let that mess go. I mean, just let it go and be like, okay, I got free hands for some other stuff to come in, right? And so it's just that kind of thing. So yeah, go in with your new perspective, your different perspective, spiritual outlook. So that is what I have for you today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, yeah, put it in the comment section. If you did enjoy the tarot reading, let me know that as well. I am thinking I may do a few more tarot readings, just sprinkled here and there. I was going to do a what do we need to focus on for the month of January, but I didn't. I wanted to do what's going to be, just something that's easier to digest for the upcoming weekend. So again, have any questions or anything like that, y'all put it in the comment section. Until next time, I will chat with y'all later. Bye, y'all. Oh, my bad. Happy New Year to you guys. Happy 2025. And yeah, do the thing. Make sure you got your goals. Like have goals and have the stepping stones that you're going to take to get to those goals. And I'll chat with y'all later. Bye, y'all.